there, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and today I am going to be showing you how I manage adding in and using at least 2 colors on a project that has slipped stitches as the edges. We sometimes slip stitches on an edge just to create a really nice uniform edge. If you knit all the way to the edge every single row, you'll have a little purl bump on those edges. Nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we like to make them look maybe a tiny bit tidier by slipping that edge. So I'm going to show you how I add in a new color, keeping my continuity of my slip stitch edge, and also then how I manage using 2 colors at once. For example, how I'm going to do it in this little swatch, which is stripes. So I'm going to start off by slipping my first stitch, and you could, some people might go ahead and just join in their new color at this first stitch. The reason I don't, again, is because I want to keep my nice pretty slip stitch edge all continuous. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front so it's in front of my right hand needle, and I'm going to slip this very first stitch purlwise, which means I'm inserting my needle as if to purl, and then I move it from the left hand needle over to the right. You always want to default to slipping your stitches purlwise unless your pattern specifically says to do it knitwise, because when we do it knitwise, that actually twists our stitch. So we don't want that unless there's a specific purpose for it. Now I'm just going to return this, my main color, to the back because I'm going to add in a new color. So to add in a new color, I like to go ahead and just prep by inserting, I'm going to knit across this row, so I go ahead and insert my needle as if to knit into my next stitch. And then I just grab my new color, and I just grab a little loop of it. You can see the tail end down there. And I just go ahead and pop this right onto my needle tip, and I can just knit it right in. And that's it. That's all I do to join a new color. I then just leave my tail and knit across my row. I'm gonna knit across this row English style, but once we get back here, I'll demonstrate continental too, just in case that's helpful for anyone. So I just knit to the end here. I love these colors together. They just happen to both be on my desk, but I like it. All right, so I just knit to the end, and now I am going to turn my work and knit back across here, and then I'll show you how I change color. Again, I am going to slip my edge stitch on both sides of this swatch. So I have my yarn in front, I slip my stitch purlwise from my left hand needle over to the right. I then return my working yarn to the back so that I can knit across the row. And I knit all the way to the end. And I give a little tug on the yarn I joined in, because sometimes it gets loose for that first row. All right. So I go ahead and turn my work, and now I want to go back to using my turquoise. So I'm going to do the same thing as before, but instead of having to add in a new yarn, it's already attached down there. So I'm going to slip my first stitch with the yarn in front, and I just put my contrast color in the back, and now I'm going to go below, work out my working yarn from my yarn tails there. So this is the one attached to my yarn ball. So I just pull it up from below and knit across. I can go ahead and drop it. I didn't realize I was still holding my contrast color. And so I go ahead and knit across the row. And now I am going to, again, slip my edge stitch with yarn in front, boop, return my yarn to the back, and knit across. And I'll demonstrate just once more how I bring that yarn up from below. So I turn my work and I slip the first stitch with yarn in front. I bring my working yarn between the two needle tips to return it to the back. Then I grab my contrast color and I just knit to the end of the row. Just like that, and that's it. And so on the side, we're gonna have this nice, tidy slip stitch edge. Looks like a little row, a little column of knit stitches. We'll have that on each side of our project with our garter stitch between. And try to see if you can see it on this example. So here is a slip stitch edge like that. And this is actually where I'm going to be seaming, but it's going to be an exposed seam. And so I really like how nice those sideways stitches will look once seamed. I'll actually show you here another example. So those are those slip stitch edges seamed together. And what I like is that for the pattern I'm currently using them for, I've got an I-cord that goes around the edges. And I like how for my exposed seam, it looks quite similar to my I-cord there. So it looks really polished, where if I had just knit right to the edge of my project, this would be bumpy. It would be these purl bumps, where instead I just have these nice columns. So there we go. That is how I manage slip stitch edges with more than one color. I hope you found this helpful, and happy knitting.